All right, here we are, ready to go talk about movies. Woo! This is real talk. I'm your host, Paul Britton. Dang it, this is Sergio Barrera. I
Every
did
time
that
we think
on
we have
purpose.
that right, we don't.
We were just talking about. Am I right or left? That was just a little bit inside baseball joke, and I love it. How you doing, Sergio?
Doing good, Paul. How are you?
I'm good.
I feel like we did this recently. So
Yeah, it wasn't that long ago. Two summers ago
yeah.
that
Well,
John
and
Wick 4 came out.
oh yeah, no, absolutely. But I'm saying, we've
Oh,
been doing these a little more frequently
every
because
other
I
week or
guess
so. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it just seems like there's some really good movies out there this year. So
Welcome to summer.
yeah, no kidding,
And
no
last year
kidding.
was not a super I've been on record that I wasn't very impressed with the slate of movies that we got last year. Whereas this year, it feels like there's stuff to look forward to every week.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, definitely.
and this week was no different because we're back talking about John Wick. And let's be, we cannot just call it Ballerina because that's not what it's called. It's called From the World of John Wick, Ballerina.
Yeah,
That's how we're going to refer to it. That's the title. We have to use the official title.
and I have a theory as to why it's so.
Yeah,
How is your theater in terms of attendance?
pretty good. Yeah, I
Was
mean,
it
I
okay?
saw it at 11:30 on a Sunday,
Okay.
and standard screen, not like a big format or anything like that. And yeah, why are you saying that you noticed?
Well, I mean, I was at a 440 on a Monday, and so maybe that's part of it.
That's part of it.
But I don't know if you have numbers yet. I'm very curious
Yeah, I'm
because
going to tell you right now.
okay,
So the weekend, um, that's unbelievable. Yeah, Lilo and Stitch beat Ballerina on the weekend.
yeah,
32 to 200 to 24 million. And I gotta imagine that for John Wick, they're looking to do, you know, 120 to 130, not on opening, but like
right,
total, and start
total,
opening at 24. It's not going to get there.
yeah,
So
and the thing about it is that without this title,
yeah.
the world goes, like what's that about? Because this movie only works, and maybe we debate this. I don't know if you feel the same, but this movie only works if you know the lore of John Wick.
Okay. Okay. Interesting.
Which is unfortunate
I
because there's a lot of good stuff.
does this all right, because you're diving right into it, so I'm just going to come out and say it. I I think the least interesting parts of this movie was at every moment that that Keanu Reeves was on screen.
Why did I know you were gonna say? I had a
I
feeling you
thought
would think that.
I thought the time spent with John Wick in this movie was time wasted and
But
didn't. Yeah,
no, and that's the thing I don't disagree with you. Although I do feel like there were these elements of the usage of his character
yeah,
that were meaningful, but they're so brief that it could have if you had taken those moments out
yeah.
and just focused and let the story carry itself, it would have been a good movie, but it wouldn't have been a John Wick film because then you have to explain the risk aroma, you have to explain so many things, and so I don't know. It's one of those things where I thought, okay, I don't think this movie is enjoyed by anyone who if you go to see this film because Ana de Armas is one of your favorite actors,
Sure.
you're gonna lose a lot if you haven't also been a fan of the John Wick franchise.
Okay.
And it's it's interesting because it isn't a bad film, but
Right.
it loses something if you don't understand the concepts of John Wick. And so that's why and I'm saying that just to get back to my original point of that's why the title.
So John Wick 4. So I just said what did I say? 24 million for Ballerina.
Mhm.
You guess March opening. March 2023. What did John Wick 4 open to?
I'm horrible at this.
Just
I
guess. I'm
don't
just
even
asking
know.
you to guess. Ballerina is at 24. What do you think John Wick 4 was at?
You're gonna laugh at me. 40, 45.
That's a really good guess, because like that guess would make sense to me.
Yeah.
Fucking 73 million.
You see?
What? Why? Like are do like who on this planet is like I'm 3 times more willing to go watch Keanu Reeves not say anything than watch Ana de Armas. Like is the drop from Keanu Reeves to Ana de Armas that big? I would say definitely not. I would
No, it's
say
in it, and I don't think it's even that. I just think that the drop is this really a John Wick film? You know, it because it's not. And it shouldn't. I think it's unfair if that's what people are thinking, that hey, I'm not going to really worry about this because it isn't part of the overall arc of the story, which is unfortunate because this movie does some things that are really fun, really
yes.
unique,
Yes.
and do feed into the overall franchise,
Yeah.
but also establish things that make me go, if we got another one, I'd
Yeah.
go see it.
But so here's the thing. This is where I'm going to disagree with you
Okay.
because in your statement of it's not a John Wick movie, and uh uh, if this were 1997
Hmm.
and I told you we're going to go see a Michael Bay movie, you know, I could tell you nothing more. And one, you're fucking going.
Yeah.
Like you're what you could know nothing about them. You could be waking up from a coma and it's your first day able to get out of the hospital room, and I like, all right, come on, new Michael Bay movies on. The doctor said you just need to sit in a chair, for the next 3 hours. Let's go see the new Michael Bay movie. You'd be like, okay, why?
Yeah.
Because it's a Michael Bay movie, and you know what you're gonna get. You know the type of thing that you're gonna be getting. There's a
Sure.
50% chance that it has Nick Cage in it, and you're gonna be happy.
Yeah.
And and this is that. This
One
is
would
now,
think.
but it was
No,
I,
I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm not
okay.
disagreeing. What I'm getting at is
Mhm.
for the general public,
Oh,
this isn't. But
do you,
that's who
is the
spends
general
money on
public that
movies.
stupid? I don't.
I agree. It's dumb. I completely agree. It's frustrating because
You know
again,
what it is? It's this. It's the problem is this is what I bet this is the number one movie in streaming for 8 weeks straight.
oh
Like
sure,
as
yeah,
soon as it hits streamers, and that annoys the fuck out of me because it's not so much that people are like, oh well, I don't want to see that. It's that what's going to get me to go to theaters,
hmm,
and for whatever reason, I guess Ana de Armas in a John Wick movie that is not a John Wick movie, but for whatever reason they shoehorn them into it.
right.
Uh, is it something I don't get it, Sergio? I just don't get it.
It's really
And
unfortunate because this. I don't know. Are you familiar with the series The Continental?
I haven't seen it, but I'm familiar with
Okay,
it.
from
Yeah,
the world of John Wick, right?
yeah,
But it doesn't have any sort of tagging the way this movie does.
right.
And so,
Because
what is it that draws people in?
because to go to the because to go to watch a streaming show, they don't need
Sure,
to
that's a
what
good
they
point.
needed to do was they wanted to get, and I would bet a small amount of money that when it starts streaming, they drop the From the World of John Wick.
That'd be. I'll
B
keep an eye out for that.
just like, the Thunderbolts has changed its name to the New Avengers now.
Yeah,
It's like, I think that's what's gonna end up happening is it's just gonna be Ballerina once it goes to stream because it's like they don't need to lure people's butts into the theater, and it's upsetting to me that that people don't feel like going to see something like this in a theater is worth their time because it absolutely is, and
I
it
agree.
makes me sad. It makes me sad.
Yeah,
The studios did this to themselves by doing day and date releases in 2021 and 2020 and 2021, and it's just like crap. I will We're never going to have just movies opening every week and making $50 million just by coming to the theater anymore. It's
yeah.
sad to me, but and I wish we had a better visibility a better understanding of the streaming aspect of it, because I want to know that actually, you know what, the Ballerina did okay.
Yeah.
Because
Well,
spoiler alert, I really liked this movie.
yeah,
So
no, I'm with you. I find it interesting because the timing now for stuff to appear, because now, Prime, for example, does the, within a week or two, it's on stream, so you can pay. You're paying $20,
right,
but it's what you're going to pay at the theater anyway.
more in the theater,
More, yeah, no
yeah.
kidding. Because, geez, Louise, I had a small cup popcorn and a soda. I'll give you one guess how much that cost me.
For those two
Small
things,
popcorn and a large soda. No,
$12.
21, buddy.
Whoa, really?
$21. Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, that's why when I see certain films on Prime for $20, I'm like, yeah, I'll pay that.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
I'll pay double it. Yeah, anyway. But no, the bigger thing that I find interesting, because let me just ask you instead of saying what I was going to say.
Sure.
This year, off the top of your head, what is the next big film, in your opinion, that's going to drive people to the theaters?
All right. No, that off the top of my head, I would say Fantastic Four.
Okay.
But because of what Finding Nemo, or not Finding Nemo, Lilo and Stitch did. By the way, I don't know if you've been keeping up with what Lilo and
I
Stitch has
haven't.
done
No,
at the
no interest.
box office. It's insanity.
Is it?
Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, well, John Wick was number 2 on the week because Lilo and Stitch, which has been out for this is its 3rd or 4th week in a row at number 1 because of
Jeez.
Lilo and Stitch. So yeah, I mean, Lilo and Stitch is currently at, hold on, what's its total? So it made 32 million. It's at 335 million domestic,
My God.
just domestic.
Well, that
Which
means
is
their opening weekend must have been insane.
well, it was the largest Memorial Day opening weekend of all
Got
time.
it. Yeah.
Which was funny because it beat out the Tom Cruise, the Mission Impossible movie,
Oh,
and
yeah.
it beat out the Mission Impossible movie when the original animated Lilo and Stitch lost to, I want to say it was Minority Report, but yeah, I mean, it was 146 million opening
Yeah.
weekend. That's without Monday. That's without
Crazy.
Monday.
I look at movies like this one that we're talking about, and I think of movies that I know we're going to talk about. The Long Walk. We're going to talk about 28 weeks. 28 years later. They're movies that you and I are going to watch and probably enjoy, and we're just not going to see people flocking to the theater. People don't flock to the theater anymore, Paul.
Yeah. No,
on
I know.
a week basis. I remember Jen and I used to have a weekly dinner and a movie every Friday night.
Yeah.
Dinner and a movie. And yeah, part of it is we've become hermits in our later years, but
Sure.
but the draw for people at the theater is just not there as much. And yeah, streaming makes it more convenient, but you and I have talked about this often. Something is lost.
Yeah. It
When
really
you're
is.
not watching it on the big screen.
It really
So,
is. Yeah.
It's unfortunate. I know that.
Well, hey,
wasn't our
let's
topic
talk about this movie.
Yeah.
Okay, so a couple of old guys just get back on my lawn.
Who
All
are the
right.
characters in the Muppets up in the
Statler and Waldorf?
There you go.
Yep.
That's what we've become.
Yeah. Shout out to Muppet Vision 3D, which had its final weekend at the Disney MGM Studios, or actually Disney Hollywood Studios, but whatever. You don't know about that, and most of the viewers here don't, but that's okay. I do.
Yeah.
All right. So we are introduced in Ballerina to one of the ballerinas that we first kind of get a glimpse of in John Wick Chapter 3 Parabellum, and she's played by Ana de Armas. Just can she be? I know we said this with the last Bond movie, but Ana de Armas literally could just be in everything, and I would never complain.
Seriously, I mean, she's so talented from an acting standpoint, from the physicality aspects.
Yep.
I mean, she just. I hate to be cliche. She brings the screen to life.
I know her charisma is, and yes, just to get, she's fucking gorgeous. But beside that, her charisma is just like, holy shit! I just want her in everything, just because of it's she's just so alive. She's
Right.
just so
Right.
alive, and it's just like, oh, and so she plays the one of the ballerinas under the director, played by Angelica Houston. By the way, okay, I got to do this. So this whole movie takes place in pockets of what's going on
Yep.
during that John Wick Chapter 3,
Correct.
supposedly. Because I never got, watching John Wick Chapter 3, I never got the impression that the start and end of that movie lasted more than like a month.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
flashback aside, because the movie opens with a flashback, we meet her dad.
Right.
Flashback aside, we from sort of like the first part of the film until sort of the last part of the film is at least 2 months, because at
Right.
one point we get a 2-month card.
Yep.
And the first part of the film, we meet John Wick coming to Angelica Houston, the director, and getting, punching his ticket, basically. Right. And then we see him again with all of his fingers, and he shouldn't have his fingers at this point.
Yeah.
And we see Angelica Houston with all of her fingers, and she shouldn't have all of her fingers at this point. Trying to, so Anna de Armas, Eve, has splintered away from her duties, and as part of the Romana, and
Roma,
Brusca Roma, and because she's trying to get revenge against what turns out to be sort of like a cult that lives within the John Wick world, but does not play by all the rules. And so they killed her father in the opening scene. That's not spoiling anything. And so she's trying to get revenge, and she's been ordered not to, because you don't want to piss these people off. Now,
right.
So aside from the two continuity things, which I made allusions to that I had a problem with, which were 10-fingered Angelica Houston and 10-fingered John Wick. I did feel like it was cool to kind of have like this cult and realize, like within this universe, there are like these sort of like comets that like float around the universe that come in and out, but do not necessarily play a central role within the universe. And that was interesting. And I liked kind of that world expansion, but also they didn't do remotely enough to make me feel like this cult was a cult and needed to be, was powerful enough to be a actual concern, and really did anything that would be like outside of the norm for all of the crazy fucking shit that we've seen all these other groups do.
Right. And the only reason that the word cult was used is because that's the only justification for what happens once they're in that town.
Yes.
Where everyone's involved. So it was somebody thought about it and went, wait a minute, why are all these people participating?
Well, no, like, okay, I mean, but
give it some structure.
But it's just kind of like, look, if I'm in the John Wick universe and I want to stay within the universe tangentially, but I want to get out sometimes, kind of being in a community where I don't necessarily have to be in the thick of it all the time, but sometime I have to get my shoes dirty. Okay, like that seemed kind of appealing to me. Like that would be appealing to me. I feel like rather than bringing Keanu Reeves into it, they could have spent that time not building the world, but building the cult. Like we really needed more. Okay, the one thing that we find out is once you're there, you can't leave.
Right.
And but we can, like,
we've been here before.
John Wick is John Wick able to leave? clearly not. Like,
Yeah.
like I don't know that this place is cultish just because, oh, you can't leave. It's like, well, no, John Wick can't leave.
Nobody can. Like,
Nobody can leave. So
yeah.
yeah, I mean, just saying, oh, they can't leave this beautiful alpine village. Although it's not in the Alps, I know it's in the Balkans. Whatever,
Right.
like
Right. Yeah.
but it looks very alpiney.
Absolutely.
Just to give the image to people. Like, oh no, you have to stay in this beautiful village. Oh, bummer.
Darn.
It's like it's
Yeah.
like what choice it it was it, it's the weakest part of the movie, which is
Hmm.
weird for a series of movies where the villains are usually really, really solid.
Yeah.
Whereas this, look, the villain is played by the original Exorcist guy, which is super fun. As soon as I saw him, I'm like, oh, the Exorcist. And it's like, I'm in. And he's a bad guy. How do we know? Because he killed somebody's dad. And that's all I need. Like, that's all I need,
Yeah.
and it's cool that they kind of introduced this cult thing. I wish they'd gone more with it, but guess what? I don't care because I'm here for a John Wick movie and the action scenes are awesome. And they
Right.
did just enough additional world building that's like, okay, that's fine.
Right.
You know?
If you think of it long enough, you can poke holes in a lot of it.
Sure.
But the action is what carries this film. It starts right from the outset.
Yeah.
And that's, I can forgive it. I can forgive it, because the other thing that I struggled with, in addition to what you're talking about in terms of John Wick's appearance in this film, is, wait, how is he busy? I mean, how is he available to do this when he's working on his own shit?
Yeah.
And that's been established through all 4 films.
Right.
So it was those kind of things. It was like, oh, I hate that I'm noticing this.
Yeah. And it was a problem. It was a problem. And that's why I asked you, how much time do you feel like passed during the John Wick Parabellum? Because the one thing we know happens in John Wick Parabellum is that he's not welcomed, but he's brought back into the fold, mm-hmm. and enters back into the world with the understanding that he's got to go kill his friend. And right. So from the time there's this tiny little window from when he leaves the other people to when he confronts his friend and doesn't kill his friend. By the way, I'm spoiling John Wick 3, and too bad. To when he doesn't kill his friend, where I guess he would have had time to go to this Balkan Alpine village, wherever it is, right. and do one job for the Ruska Roma, I guess.
Yeah. But it was just too wedged in.
It's just really implausible, and the timing doesn't work, and he still has all his fingers, and that doesn't make any sense whatsoever for what we see him doing at the start of the movie.
Yeah.
And there's no way that he's like going to do this thing at the after, in between John Wick 3 and John Wick 4, because then he's really fucking dealing with his own shit.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's a better movie without John Wick. It's a better movie if they all throughout the movie, I wasn't asking them to do more to explain how this cult is so bad, until I got to the end of the movie. It's like, okay, I just kind of expected them to explain how this cult is so bad, and it never, and they never did. They never did, and I kind of feel like there was probably a scene cut out. So, because I don't know if you're aware of this, but they actually reshot and edited in the John Wick stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So originally, there was, he appeared briefly in the movie, just at passing, but then they were like, you know what, we need to put John Wick in here, and so they reshot, wrote some scenes, rewrote some of the stuff, brought him in, and
the first time we see him, I'm okay with, because it helps establish the timing for those who care.
Sure.
The reshoots, to your point, was probably what happened. Exactly. At the end, toward the end, and unnecessary, because it definitely does a lot to diminish the value of Eve.
Eve. Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, I that did bug me, because I'm
Yeah.
like, it really wasn't. I mean, I would have been okay with, okay, well, now we have a timing
Yeah.
so that, you know.
You've put a stake in the ground on when this is taking
Yeah,
place. We're
exactly.
good. The problem is the stake that you put in the ground and when this is taking place tells me that Angelica Houston is losing a finger any minute now.
Yeah. And
And
I'm sorry, you keep saying finger, but and forgive me for doing this to you, but remember, she got stabbed through her.
oh, she didn't
Yeah.
lose a finger?
No, no, no.
Oh,
The what's his name?
the adjudicator.
Iron Chef guy. The adjudicator
Yeah.
has her guy
Yeah.
run her sword through.
Okay. I am sorry. I
So
thought she
no, no,
lost a
that's okay.
finger. No, that's a good point.
I was
That's a
like,
good
if he
point.
says it again, I'm gonna say.
So because I kept looking for like a metal finger or something like that on
No, no,
her.
no.
But like
She
that.
got the sword through the hands.
Okay. I
So
guess I should have been looking for like bandages on her hands then
I
because
was
that
too. I mean,
yeah.
that's what I was doing.
Yeah. There was no indication that she was punished
Not at
regardless.
all. Obviously, we're supposed to know that that hasn't happened yet. But
But
it
it
was none
has.
of it was
It has
necessary.
obviously happened.
Well, but that point would have come after. No, actually, it would have been after. Yeah. Okay. Anyway,
The adjudicator's in the third movie.
absolutely, but that doesn't happen till the end of the film. Toward the end of the film, and so
No, because the adjudicator shows up pretty early in the film, definitely
yes,
during the first
absolutely,
act,
but she doesn't
and then
punish her
and
until.
sh- but she's about like a day and a half behind John Wick, so she doesn't show up to the director immediately. We're getting off topic. Uh,
But that's what this movie does. It makes you think
that's
too
the
much.
problem with bringing
Yeah,
John Wick in.
yeah. It
It
totally distracts from this film
Yeah.
overall.
But one of the things that it does is it establishes the world and the where all of the sort of like the protectors, like, so one of the things that you see is John Wick killing all these people. And he just keeps killing and killing and killing and killing all these people. And you're like, where the hell are all these people coming from? And we kind of get a little bit of an idea because that's kind of you get the impression that that's what Eva is there to be, is like a protector, and who he's killing are all of these people who are there to be protectors, and
Yeah,
they're not quite as good as the Baba Yaga. And so if the Baba Yaga shows up, they're probably going to get killed, but for the most part they can hold their own. And
yeah,
and so I thought that aspect of it I loved. That aspect
yeah.
of it I really liked.
No, there were some good things. I don't like a character getting diminished over the course of a film when you've done so much, because one of the things that I loved about this film was they did a great job of giving her the I don't know how else to explain it, Paul, other than to say they gave her similar dialogue amounts. There was not a, it was a John Wick treatment of this character to
Okay.
give her very few things to say, but impactful things to say.
Yeah.
Fantastic sequences in which we establish how great she is at what she does,
Right.
only for it to be made to seem like, but she couldn't have done this thing at the end without help.
Yeah, no, I
That
agree with
loses a
you.
taco for me.
Yeah, no, okay, a whole taco, wow. Um, but as long as we're there, here at Real to Real Talk, instead of giving stars, we do tacos. And if we feel like something deserves a little extra, instead of giving half a taco, we add guacamole. Why? Because nobody eats a half a fucking taco. So, Sergio, we're here doing From the World of John Wick, Ballerina. What are your feelings on it?
This is 3 tacos plus guac. It's a
Okay.
strong action film.
Yeah.
I have to give the guac for Ana de Armas's performance.
Yeah.
And just enjoying being in the world again.
Yeah.
Um, I wish I could say 4, but it just didn't quite reach it because of some of the things that they did to force us to understand it's in the John Wick world. So.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and do the 4 tacos,
Okay.
and the reason why, and they're not great tacos. Like I think I would probably rather eat your 3 tacos because they're probably better than my 4
Yeah.
tacos. But the reason why is because I still just throughout the movie it really was the parts that annoyed me were the John Wick parts, and I really
Gotcha.
was like, okay, like why does he have all his fingers? And I really was like, okay, why does she have all her fingers? When in fact I should have been like, why doesn't she have a bandage on her hands? But I love being in this world, and
Yeah,
I
it's
was
fun.
I was happy to be back in this world, and it made me happy, and
Nice.
so that's where I land on Ford Tacos.
Love it.
Well, Sergio, that's it for you for today, correct?
Indeed.
All right. Uh, we may see you next week, maybe for Life of
Fingers
Chuck.
crossed.
But we'll definitely see you for 28 weeks later in 2 weeks. So
Absolutely. Looking forward
28
to it,
years
Paul.
later in
28
2
years.
weeks.
I keep saying weeks. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
All right, Paul. Well, it's always a pleasure, man. Thanks for having
Zombie
me on.
movies coming, and you're coming in for it. That's all we
Absolutely.
need to know. All right.
All right.
I'll see
We'll
you,
see you
buddy.
soon.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye. I am sticking around to do the Phoenician Scheme. And let me tell you something. It's a movie from Wes Anderson, who happens to be my favorite director. And I, Wes Anderson, his more recent movies kind of going in backwards order. He most recently did crap. Why am I blanking all of a sudden? This is terrible. I feel bad about myself right now. Okay, he most recently did that came to theaters, Asteroid City, and which was just fantastic. And then prior to that, he did The French Dispatch, which I loved and was fantastic. And prior to that, he did Isle of Dogs. After doing Asteroid City, I actually had a series of short films, one of which won him an Oscar finally for best short film. And they were all on Netflix, and they're fantastic, and I highly recommend that you should catch them. And then prior to Isle of Dogs, he did Grand Budapest Hotel, which is just one of the greatest movies ever made. I love all of his stuff, and for Wes Anderson, the thing that I love about Wes Anderson movies is that they just bring a stupid smile to my face, and I can't explain why Wes Anderson movies bring a stupid smile to my face. But as soon as I put a Wes Anderson movie in, smile comes on my face. I know where I am. I'm in a Wes Anderson movie. It's very distinct in what it presents, and how it looks and how it feels. And it's indubitably a Wes Anderson movie, and I love that. And it doesn't hurt that I love the movies, and I love what he has to say, and I love his voice. This movie is very different. And normally Wes Anderson movies are very what's the word? They are large casts, the ensemble movies. Wes Anderson movies are usually ensemble movies where it's hard to, there's a main character, but even that main character is probably only in about 30% of the movie. And there's just a lot of people coming in and out and in and out and in and out. This is slightly different in that Benicio del Toro, who, by the way, is amazing in everything, but also this particular film, Benicio del Toro plays Zsa Zsa Corda. And Zsa Zsa Corda is an industrialist, like a mid 20th century industrialist, who has enough enemies that there are constantly people trying to assassinate him. And because of all the assassination attempts on his life, he is trying to reconnect with his one biological child, a daughter from his first marriage. He's had 3 marriages. All the women have passed away under mysterious circumstances. And he's trying to reconnect with her and leave her his world, like his, he's an industrialist. So it's like, whatever that means, is he an arms dealer? Yeah, probably. Does he do this and that? Yeah, probably. He does all these other things, it's very, very up in the air, other than we know that he definitely, deals in arms of some way. And instead of being an ensemble movie where, all of the cast of characters come in and out, it really focuses on 3 characters. It focuses on Zsa Zsa. It focuses on his daughter, Liesel. And it focuses on Michael Cera, who plays Bjorn, basically a tutor for Zsa Zsa's 10 adopted sons, as well as now his sort of travel secretary. And it's fucking crazy. It's just Wes Anderson zaniness, that where instead of having all of these characters coming in and out and telling a story that way, it is these three characters riding through and encountering all the ensemble. And it's an important difference, because I would say that the one thing about most Wes Anderson movies, Rushmore probably being Rushmore, Royal Tenenbaums, and maybe Grand Budapest being exceptions, most of the time you're not like latching onto a character. Like you're just spreading your love around to all the characters. Whereas this is, like those other movies that I mentioned, this is asking you kind of gotta latch onto this one character, because this is the main person, and is really driving everything that's going on. Even in Life Aquatic, Steve Zissou, yeah, is the primary character, but Owen Wilson, is there a lot as well, and is really the sympathetic character in the movie. And it it's a Wes Anderson movie, so you're just gonna have to be like, okay, I'm ready to go for a ride. I've probably given every Wes Anderson movie, but maybe 5 tacos, and I'm gonna tell you, I'm not giving this one 5 tacos, um, just because this one wasn't quite as fun for some reason. I don't know what happened. Maybe I was just in a bad mood. I'm giving it 4 tacos. It's still amazing and excellent, and I loved it, but it's 4 tacos. It's still Wes Anderson. I'll take anything that Wes Anderson does. Phoenician Scheme, check it out. Lastly, Dangerous Animals is an indie horror film that's coming to us from Australia. The guy who played Boomerang in Suicide Squad, the first Suicide Squad movie, shows up here as as Tucker, a Australian ship captain who he runs a service where you get in a cage and you get to see the sharks. You get to dive with the sharks while you're in the cage. It turns out he's a serial killer, and it's pretty gnarly. And you can imagine, based on what he does for a living, how he's killing his how he's doing his serial killing. And unfortunately, he encounters a fighter in Zephyr. Just Australia. Guess what Zephyr likes to do? Okay, if you guessed surf, you're correct. So a young American surfer by the name of Zephyr, she encounters our serial killer Tucker, gives him all that he can handle, and then some. And look, if you're predisposed to enjoy horror movies about serial killers, Dangerous Animals has to just skyrocket to the top of your list. I'm not predisposed for serial killer movies, but I'm also gonna enjoy a good one, and this is a good one. This is 3 tacos. Dangerous Animals, Australian indie flick. Check it out. I recommend highly. These 3 tacos are the best damn 3 tacos you could get. Like it's so close to getting 3 tacos plus guac. There's some pacing issues, but that's okay. It's highly recommended from me, Paul Britton, here at Real to Real Talk. Next week, we will definitely be doing Life of Chuck. We might be doing the How to Train Your Dragon movie. I want to, but reasons are reasons. I may not get to the theater more than once to see a new film this weekend. But I also have a couple of streamers in my back pocket that I checked out. I watched this past week that I will be bringing to next week. So please stop on by next week. I hope you enjoyed Sergio and me here talking about From the World of John Wick, Ballerina. And Wes Anderson's back in theaters, so check him out. Thanks everybody. Real to Real Talk, Paul Britton. Come.